Hello, Brand here. It's been a while, I know. I'm still in Facebook prison on one of my pages. I finally was able to get the other page on my smartphone. And I don't even know how I did it. I tried repeatedly and used every darn password that I remembered, and it didn't work, and all of a sudden it works. Go figure. I know I'm making a mistake somewhere. I'm not blaming the electronics or anything like that. Anyhow, I got lucky, and I'm on my other page. So, hang on a second. Got my pocket constitution here. Been in a long conversation, which was a real eye-opener for me. I could never figure out how some people that I consider to be intelligent people get from A, we'll say from A to F, without going through B, C, D, E, I was like, how did you do that? Because what you're saying makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. And this person, who is a friend of mine, read Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18. Congress, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all the powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or any department or officer thereof. And to me, it's pretty plain. All powers vested by this Constitution. That's real clear. You got the Enclave Clause, 18 spending privileges, in pursuance thereof, 9th and 10th Amendment. But this person's definition of all laws is bad laws too. And that it has to be sorted out through the courts. All codes, statutes have to be sorted out by the courts. Wow. Okay. And I don't mean to embarrass that person. It's just that to me is totally upside down. And I told that person that. And at least now I know I can form a debate or form a antithesis to what they were saying, and I think that I will be successful in that argument. Now, but there's a real simple way of understanding the right and wrongs of this. And I referred this person back to Jeremiah, where he's referring to the righteous in the last day shall have God's law written in their heart and their inward parts. And I made the statement that some of us are way ahead of the curve. And we don't have to go through a lot of things to know right from wrong. I will use an example is the Bundy Ranch, Clive and Bundy, his family, and the stand they took against the lawlessness of this government. I didn't know anything about the Constitution yet. Very little, actually. I'm going to get right down to it. I did take a class from Dr. Cleon Skousen when I was at college, Western Montana College. But I was focusing on other things. The land rights issue was not foremost in my thinking. It should have been. It should have been. I realize that now. So I do have some background there in the Constitution of the United States. But when Clive and Bundy decided to take a stand, as far as the land rights issues and as far as the Constitution, I was quite ignorant. But because God's law is written in my heart, I knew immediately. And everybody should too. It's not that big of a mystery. It is to some people. But it's not that big of a mystery when you can see lawlessness, whether it's on the government's side or whether it's on an individual side. You can see it. It's not this big. It's not this great big mystery. And so, one of the things that this person talks about is law and bad law. Bad law is an oxymoron. Okay, that's an abuse of the language. In this case, the English language. There is no such thing as bad law. It is lawlessness. or no law at all, non-existence. Okay, and when people start using this type of terminology, we just play into the hands of this insidious part of the government who are trying to distort the law, God's law. All right, now, one of the ways that I want to suggest that people can identify true law is if its basis is immorality, if it's immoral, okay? There's nothing moral about kicking a whole family off of their land, off of their property, stealing their property the family's been on for what, 100, I think it's 147 years. There's nothing moral about that. It's completely immoral. And that should be a guide right there. All true law is based in morality. It has a moral basis for it. Now, if you go back anciently, well, let's pass that for now. One of the tactics that I've noticed as being used, in fact, I just saw that Clinton gal, Hillary's daughter, can't think of her name right now. She was talking about abortion being Christian. Whoa, man, how do you get to that point? Well, here's an interesting concept. This was put to me just recently also about how, and what I come up with is how the children of Israel got into Balaam worship and worship Moloch. For those that don't know, the prophet Balaam ended up being an apostate prophet. And he was able to get the children of Israel to sacrifice their children because it was for the greater good. God would bless you because you sent this spotless, clean babe back to him, and it was pleasing to him. That's called Balaam worship. That is the roots of. You can go to a book called by N.T. Wright, The Resurrection of the Son of Man, I believe is the title of the book, and he gets into Balaam worship and how he was able to persuade, deceive the children of Israel and sought sacrificing their children. Well, now I hear Chelsea Clinton coming out and talking about this is a Christian thing, it's for the greater good, it's a greater good for the baby, the greater good for the mother, greater good for society, so it's Christian. That's Balaam worship all over again. There you go. Is there anything really new under the sun? And history continues to repeat itself. Now, and I'm going to back off from that. I don't want to use that as an example because that's an extreme example. But one of the ways that they get the so-called antithesis to true law, which is no law at all, but they call it law, is, look at the good it's going to do. Perfect example. What do you hear over and over and over about guns? Well, we got to confiscate guns. We got to make guns illegal to save lives. Well, the fact of the matter is, in some cases, it would. But look at the long-term antithesis of it, which history's full of. Mass genocide by governments. Okay, so you might save a few laws or a few lives, which, by the way, they're probably abusing or not paying attention to what they're doing, or you do have a criminal who is going to use a gun in some way and does shoot people. Well, let's look at that compared to the mass genocides that's happened since the 19th century. Millions and millions and millions. I've heard estimates as high as 200 million people have been murdered, slaughtered, after they have been disarmed. So yeah, there's always some little silver lining back there to like drug laws. Okay, we're going to pass all of these laws, the laws against drug, the war against drug under President Nixon. He signed it off, which was one of those executive orders, which is no order at all as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you're going to save some people. There'll be people who'll be saved from overdosing. You know, I'm not going to argue that, but what's the long-term effect of it? Now you got people, millions of people in prison that shouldn't be there, either because drugs were actually planted on them, planted in their house, or they willingly partook of a weed or a herb, whatever you want to call it. So there's nothing in the Constitution that gives any government, our government, the right to do that. You've got 18 spending privileges that we the people grant the federal government, our servant, and that's not one of them, that they can come and regulate what we put in our bodies, all right? But they're doing it everywhere now. Our foods, GMO foods, which the government is cramming down our throat. Okay, fluoride in the water, the government crams it down your throat. Okay, vaccinations, all of these things, they call for the greater good of the people. That's how they get a lot of this crap passed. And in many cases, there is a slight benefit. But in the long run, in the complete long run, it's way worse. But they can build upon that slight benefit and advertise it and pound it into people's head. And the average person gets, you get a lot of people get up on their high horse and they think they're making a moral stand. Oh, look at the lives it's going to save. We got to take all the guns away from the people. We got to make sure everybody is vaccinated, which is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life. People go out and have their children vaccinated to be protected, but then they're pissed at you or somebody else as they don't get their kids vaccinated. Well, if you got your children vaccinated, then your children are safe. So what are you worried about? You really worried about somebody else's kid? No, you want them vaccinated too. Okay, regardless of how bad vaccinations are for the people. You want everybody vaccinated. That's nothing but an insecure position because you vaccinated your children, and if it's correct, and if you are correct, your children are safe. So what's the deal? It's because you, the pro-vax people, are so insecure that you think that if everybody doesn't go along with you, there's something wrong with them. That's the same way with the LGBT community. If everybody's not gay, bisexual, whatever, there's something wrong with you. They even now you've got the government calling anybody that believes in the Bible as a mental disease. Okay? You see how this all happens? It's a big con. Everything's a big con. And it all starts with people thinking that it's okay to pass bad law. We'll work it out later on. The fact of the matter is this is a multifaceted attack on society. It's coming from so many different directions. And if you try to work things out in court, well, ask Ryan Bundy how that worked out. Okay, ask any of those people how that worked out. 2 years in prison, denied their Sixth Amendment rights. In many cases, the corrupt side of our society, the government, I'll just say government, is empowered to the point that if you try to go against them, you are arrested on some fictitious law, which is not law at all, and you spend your life fighting it, and you get nowhere. See, here's the fact. All law that does not go, there I go again. Anything that is not constitutional must be stopped dead in its tracks. It must be nipped in the bud. And have that taken place, like Marbury versus Madison, any law which is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void on its inception. If Congress would have acted accordingly way back when, we wouldn't be in the position that we are today. The 16th Amendment, the Federal Reserve, IRS, which is the financial arm of the kingdom of the devil. Okay, that's where all our productivity has been upholding the kingdom of the devil for a long, long time. And in my belief system, God said, that we had to be free from the blood of this generation. And the Constitution of the United States, anything more or less than this Constitution cometh of evil. And anybody that goes against that is advocating evil. It's very simple. Don't advocate evil, okay? People, I really do get confused as how people, it's so foreign to me. And I apologize to those people when I don't maybe show the patience I should. But this type of thinking, you know, that the bar is okay, the British accredited registry, that's all good stuff. It is so foreign to me. I see right through it. And it's really hard for me sometimes to be patient with it. So, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I want to just go back real quick. Law which violates the Constitution of the United States is the antithesis of God's law or true law. It is nothing but a perversion and a corruption on morality. All law that is not rooted in morality, and I'm talking about the individual, not the collective. Okay, that's one way they get all this crap passed. It's good for the overall society, the collective. Okay, no, Jesus said he would leave the 99 and go find the one. If it's not good for the individual, and our Constitution was to protect the minority, protect the individual, then it's not good for anybody. Okay, it's bad for everybody. But, you know, like now we've reached, I forget how many millions of people work for the federal government, and, you know, they think, you know, they got this other ulterior motive, and they put out a bunch of crap, a bunch of lies, and you see it everywhere, and we're being attacked left and right by people like George Soros, news media, Rupert Murdoch, fake news, fake news. And people have been brainwashed. Our whole educational system is a brainwashing system. You talk to kids nowadays, and they know all about the UN charters and how good that is. They know all about LGBT and that we got to be let them have everything. They know all about the immigrants, and they got to come in. We got to share everything with them. And if you're not, you're a racist. Okay. Well, hell, you say, you know, racism. Is that really a bad thing? It depends how you use it. You know, I'm not going to let somebody off the street, I don't care what ethnic group they are, just come walking in my house and take over my bed, take my food out of my refrigerator. Oh, does that make me a racist? Okay, then I am. Fine and dandy. It's not going to happen. And I don't care who it is. I don't even care if it was a white person just like me. You know, you're not going to do it. And, you know, our borders, they're there for our country and for our sovereign states and for those people who through adverse possession claim this land, all right? You know, that is nothing more than common law, which goes all the way back to Genesis, chapter 49, where the children of Israel were given land blessings. And Joseph and his sons were given a greater blessing than their progenitors, okay? And those are what are called inherent rights. They're inherent rights. Now, if you don't like it, go fight with God. Go argue with God. Don't argue with me. All right? Our founding forefathers knew when they came to this country, they were fulfilling those scriptures. I read it, the history of it. They understood exactly what was going on, that this land was inherently reserved for them through a covenant, the covenant of God. And now they were very, very generous people, and they tried to take care of everybody who was here. Nothing's ever perfect. There was a man that once said that everything in this world has its own particular faults. And it does, everywhere you look. And that's why we got to have wisdom. That's why we got to get God's word on certain things and use wisdom in all that we do. And but there's so much lies and deception out there that if we don't let immigrants come in and have everything that we got, for heaven's sakes, they're totally subsidized when they come over here. And now you got Sharia law that's being endorsed in states like Michigan, which is, That is treasonous, totally treasonous. And again, you know, I'll tell you right now, I hate Islam. I hate Islam. I hate Sharia law. And if you call yourself a Muslim, I have to take you on face value. All right? Why wouldn't I? You just called yourself a Muslim. That means you believe in Islam. That means you believe in Sharia law. All right? I have to accept you on face value when you call yourself a Muslim. When you call yourself a Muslim, I have to assume that you believe in your belief system. You just advocated it. You just called yourself a Muslim. You believe in Sharia law. You believe in Islam. That means you don't believe in Christianity. You don't believe in the Constitution of the United States. So, you want to call me a racist for that? And here's the deal. You know, Islam is not a race. It's a belief system, okay? It is a death cult. So don't call me a racist over that. Kiss my lily white butt, okay? See, that was a racist comment right there, and I stand by it, right? So I think I covered everything. A lot of this stuff has been bugging me for a while, and I wanted to make some videos for a while. And I'm going to make some other videos, some other interesting topics, but hopefully I can get this up here pretty quick. And Facebook's not going to kick it out. God bless everybody.